start with the numbers, economics and social numbers, statistics in Lebanon have had a lot of issues even before the crisis. And with the problems in government funding and the funding of services, the quality of these statistics have become a lot more difficult. But overall, what it means for the Lebanese people is a continuation of the present situation. We're likely to see little growth. Poverty is going to stay high. The provision of public services are going to suffer. And without meaningful reforms, something that would inspire confidence, it's unlikely that much will change as far as the economy is concerned. Lebanon needs to implement the IMF program, or take measures with or without an IMF program. What the IMF can provide is assurances that the right policies are being implemented, and it's assurance to donors and to creditors that their support to Lebanon is well placed. But if you look at the documents that have been circulated for the IMF program, growth is going to stay low for a long time to come. I think the forecasts are 3 to 4% per year. So even with an IMF program, we're unlikely to see a big recovery. Now, other than policy advice and monitoring, what the IMF will provide is financing. I think the numbers were $3 billion over almost 4 years. Another $8 billion would come from other donors, creditors. This is referred to as the catalytic role of the IMF. But these numbers are not that big. If you put them relative to the loss in foreign exchange reserves by the BDL after the crisis started, they're not that big. The biggest repercussion is basically the contraction in the government and the role of government. What happened after the crisis started is that the government did not adjust its fees and taxes in line with inflation, and more importantly, in line with the depreciation of the exchange rate. To give you as an example, look at customs duties. When the lira was 100,000 liras to the dollar, customs duties were levied on the basis of 1,500 to the dollar, which was the official rate at the time, effectively reducing tax rates. Ideally, what exchange rate the government uses should not be a fiscal policy decision, effectively reduce rates. Well, that did not allow them to pay salaries, did not allow them to provide the needed public services. Look at education, look at health, look at maintenance of infrastructure. And the government lost a lot of talented employees, a lot of staff. Well, what should be done is that it should try to adjust tax rates, which is being done, try to spend more on the needed, but over the long run, we do need a civil service reform. There's been a lot of employment in the government. We need to look at the functions of government staff. Ideally, you want an efficient, streamlined, very well-paid public sector that can, attract the right and appropriate talent to provide the services needed by the population.